3 years together. Thousands of I love yous. Then I found her texts with a coworker. No tears, no screaming, just cold revenge. When the entire office saw that at the company party, Laura realized she'd messed with the wrong man. That evening started so ordinarily that now, looking back, I can literally feel my stomach clench from the sheer, mundane normalcy of it all. I'd just gotten back from my run, 5 miles along the riverfront, our usual route, the one Laura had stopped joining me on about 3 months ago. Too early to get up, she'd say, kissing me on the cheek as I left. Now I understood the real reason. Shower. Change of clothes. A routine that had suddenly taken on a sinister edge. I put on that blue shirt Laura liked, the one she always said brought out my eyes. Now those words rang hollow in my head. The kitchen smelled of freshly brewed coffee, autopilot habit. I poured myself a cup, absently checked my phone. Nothing from Laura. Probably working late, I thought, though she always used to text if she was staying longer. Her phone lay on the table, she was always forgetting it at home. The screen lit up as I walked past. Can't wait for tomorrow. You know where. The message hung there, so innocent and so damning. From Jake. With a heart. I froze, a cold sweat breaking over my back. My fingers moved on their own. 3-1-0-8, her birthday. I knew the passcode but had never used it. Until today. The first messages were harmless, work project talk, stupid memes. Then the tone shifted. Mark brought up marriage again. So over it. 17 days ago. He's so predictable. Like a robot. 12 days ago. Come by tomorrow at lunch. Mark thinks I'm at a work meeting. A week ago. But the worst was yet to come. Messages from the day I left for Chicago, his flight's at 6 a.m. Be here by 8. Keys under the mat. Jake's reply, at his place. Cold. Her answer, he'd never suspect LOL. I sat staring at the screen, the room tilting slowly around me. A high-pitched ringing filled my ears. Somewhere in the background, the kitchen clock ticked, the same one we'd bought on sale at Bloomingdale's, laughing at the ridiculous price. On the fridge, our photo still hung with her scribbled forever. Her favorite cashmere throw, the one I'd given her last Christmas, lay draped over the couch. Everything was in its place. Except the woman I thought I knew. I kept scrolling, and with every new page of messages, something inside me died. Their jokes about me. Their plans. Their meetings. In our bed. While I was on business trips. While I worked late to save for our future. At some point, I realized I was breathing too fast, almost hyperventilating. My hands shook so badly the phone slipped and hit the table with a dull thud. The evening news murmured from the living room, background noise of our life. A neighbor's piano drifted through the walls. The world kept turning, oblivious that mine had just imploded. I went to the window, bracing my palms on the sill. Across the street, apartment lights glowed, just as cozy, just as fake. How many other dramas were unfolding behind those windows? When I returned to the table, the phone lit up again. A new message from Jake, where are you? Everything okay? I checked the time, 11:47 p.m. Somewhere out there in the city, my Laura, no, not mine. Not anymore. She was with him. And they were laughing at me. Right then, something inside me broke. Not dramatically, just quietly and irreversibly, like a burnt-out bulb. The pain was gone. Only icy calm remained. And I made my decision. They'd regret this. Both of them. They'd regret the day they decided to play me. I didn't sleep. Couldn't. Didn't even try. Our bedroom still smelled like her perfume, the one I'd picked out last New Year's. She'd left a lipstick on the nightstand, her robe hanging on the chair like it was waiting for her. I sat on the edge of our bed, every breath like inhaling shards of glass. 2:18 a.m. I walked to the kitchen. Our fridge was plastered with travel magnets, San Francisco, Miami, that stupid Eiffel Tower one she bought even though we'd never been to Paris. Someday, she'd promised. In the freezer, her favorite pistachio ice cream. I threw it in the trash, then fished it out and put it back. 3:42 a.m. in the bathroom, her toothbrush stood in the cup next to mine. Pink and white, like some symbol of us. I grabbed it, held it over the trash. And stopped. Instead, I scrubbed my hands under scalding water until my skin went numb. 4:55 a.m. I found her journal. Never read it before, thought it was wrong. Now I flipped through it desperately. The last month's pages were filled with his name. Jake was so funny today. Jake gets me like no one else. Jake, Jake, Jake. My name only appeared in entries like, Mark brought up marriage again. So done. 6:30 a.m. The coffee maker we bought last year auto-brewed her favorite cinnamon latte. I turned it off, then changed my mind and set out her mug, the one with the kitten. 7:15 a.m. The key turned in the lock. Her footsteps in the hallway. The faint clink of keys on the hook. Mark. You're up already. Her voice sounded so normal. Like nothing had happened. I sat at the kitchen table, her phone in my hands. When she walked in, I looked up slowly. How was your night with Jake? My voice was eerily steady. Her face went white. The silence after my question was thick, suffocating. Laura stood frozen, her fingers gripping her purse strap like a lifeline. I watched the emotions flash across her face, shock, fear, the scramble for composure. What are you? Her voice cracked. I held up her phone, the screen still glowing with their messages. Under the mat, Laura. Really? My tone was almost conversational. Did you at least wipe your feet when you brought him into our home? She dropped into a chair like her legs had given out. Mark, I can explain, go ahead. I leaned back, arms crossed. I'd love to hear what excuse you've been rehearsing. Her silence said everything. 3 weeks had passed since I'd thrown Laura out of my apartment. 3 weeks of her begging, excuses, and midnight calls. 3 weeks of refining my plan to perfection. The company holiday party, the offices of Clarkson and Wright glittered with fairy lights. Through the glass walls, I watched Laura in her new black dress bought for Jake, no doubt laughing coquettishly, her hand draped over his arm. I observed the performance from the bar across the street, sipping whiskey and checking the timer. At exactly 9 p.m., Phase 1 activated. Every employee email in the company received a message titled, Urgent, must read for all staff. Attachments included screenshots of their texts, a photo of Laura in my bed. Yes, I pulled it from our home security cam, an audio clip of Jake joking about cheating on his wife. I finished my whiskey and walked toward the building. 9:17 p.m. I entered the ballroom just as chaos erupted. 50 pairs of eyes snapped toward me. Laura jerked upright, her champagne flute shattering on the floor. Mark. What the hell? Good evening, colleagues. I raised a glass an attendant instantly handed me. To loyalty. The room went dead silent. I pulled out a remote and hit play. The projector screen lit up with footage, Jake at a bar 1 week earlier, drunk and loose-lipped, confessing to a red-headed stranger, me in a wig, my wife. Clueless. Laura's just a fun distraction. Though. Damn, that girl's wild in bed, huh? Laura let out a choked screech. Jake turned ghost white. The effect was flawless. Jake's wife, whose work email I'd conveniently looked up, was already screaming into his phone. The HR director clutched his chest like he might need CPR. Half the crowd whipped out phones to record the drama. I turned to Laura. Her mascara bled down her cheeks. Why? She hissed. Because you taught me how to lie, I said calmly. Thanks for the lesson. Epilogue. 1 week later, Laura and Jake were fired for gross misconduct. Jake's wife posted Instagram stories of his belongings burning in their driveway. Laura texted me, "You ruined my life." I replied with one message, "No, sweetheart. You did that yourself. I just had a front row seat." Then hit delete contact. Now, watching the sunset from my apartment finally, undeniably mine, I felt nothing. No rage, no pain. Just lightness. They got what they deserved. And I got something far more valuable, freedom from the lies.